Welcome back. Frank DeMore here from the End Times Research Ministry, and today I made a video concerning the events going on in the Middle East, specifically Syria, the United States, Russia, and Israel. And I was pointing to my first video, the coming two wars, the Psalm 83 war and the Ezekiel 38 war. Now, after I made that video, there's been some new information, very, very important information that I wanted to present to you. It won't take long. Now, this extra news that I'm showing you right now, I'm going to be showing and explaining, connecting the dots for you in these videos that I have here at the site, and they'll be at my website as well. But knowing what you now know about the coming Psalm 83 war, of which Syria is to attack Israel, the videos below should only help you, show you what God is showing us all in the Psalm 83 war is about to take place. There's no question about it that it's coming. Now, in this first video that I wanted to play for you, it says Syria to strike Israel, Jordan, and Turkey. Watch this.
The Syrian government said that they are ready to strike back in the event of a military intervention by the Western coalition. Moreover, Syria is ready to strike Israel, Jordan, and Turkey if they support the United States and its allies. The Syrians are ready to face with the war which the United States imposes on them. Naturally, they will try to respond, and of course, they have no power and ability to answer directly on the source of fire. But maybe they can conduct specific attacks on neighboring territories. Although, to be honest, I think that the Syrians will not do that. It's more of a proclamation of intent than the desire to counter the American influence. However, being in such a desperate situation in which the Western countries put Syria, one can take most drastic measures in an attempt to punish the enemy. At least, they can show the wish to fight, resist, or die in combat.
Now, this goes hand in hand what I've been showing you in many of my videos, that last year when I warned that Bashar al-Assad said that if he was cornered, he was going to attack Israel. And obviously, as the situation ratchets up in the Middle East, he is being pushed into a corner. Now, this second video that I want to show you is pretty interesting, and he has a lot of good points that I'm going to stop when he makes those points. Most of you should be able to get it for yourselves, but just in case you miss it, I'm going to bring to the forefront exactly the most important issues that I see.
And the reaction now from British journalist and broadcaster Neil Clark. Mr. Clark, welcome to RT. Great to see you. How likely is Damascus to comply with the Russian initiative? Does the Syrian government have any alternatives there?
Well, I think it's a very good move from Syria and Russia, isn't it? But I think we've got to be very careful here, because we've got to remember that Libya gave up its chemical weapons in 2004, and we all know what happened to Libya. Iraq gave up its WMDs, and we all know what happened to Iraq. By contrast, North Korea didn't disarm, hasn't surrendered a single weapon, and North Korea is still standing.
So there you go. I mean, first of all, this is one of the major points that he's making here. Yes, they took out Libya. They took out Iraq, but they haven't touched North Korea. Because you mess with North Korea, you're going to end up with World War III, first of all. And second of all, they really are not concerned about that. They want to get rid of the people that they want to get rid of, the people who are not engaged in this coming together of this one world entity, if you will, of which Syria is not involved in. So let me continue here.
If Syria were to surrender its chemical weapons, I think it needs to get a firm guarantee from Russia that if there was an attack by America, then they would come to their defense, because I think we need to deter the US attack here.
But still, Obama's...
In other words, what he's saying is he believes that the United States is coming no matter what.
Made it clear the plans for a military strike are still in full force. Is the Russian initiative likely to stall them for long? What do you think?
Well, I think the Washington elite is very divided. I think Obama is very hesitant, but of course we've got the fanatical neocon lobby, the people like John McCain. And we all know that this chemical weapons issue, Yulia, was all a pretext. It was a pretext. I mean, you know, the US wants regime change in Syria, and that was just the first pretext that came along this month. And there'll be another one coming along. So even if Syria does surrender its weapons, then the danger's not over yet for Syria, because I'm sure that Washington will come along in a few months' time or even weeks' time and say, look, there's been another so-called atrocity carried out by the President Assad's government. and then we'll be back to square one again. So I think the only thing that can stop the bullying of Syria really is, as I say, is defence pact with Russia, perhaps bringing in Iran, China to deter aggression. I think that's the only thing that will stop this threat of war really.
But still, the US public, as well as a lion's share of lawmakers, are still against that intervention. Is that enough to deter an attack order at the White House?
Everyone's against this war. Everyone across the world except a tiny group of neocon fanatics. These people are the people trying to push President Obama to war with Syria. They're desperate for regime change against Damascus because they want to target Iran and topple the Iranian regime. And these people are absolutely fanatics. And no matter what Syria does, these people will still be targeting Syria. And yet, things have changed. There's been a slow global awakening as to the neocon agenda. People have woken up after war, after war, after war. People across the world are finally saying, no more war. And the elites in Washington have got this problem. They would love to bring about regime change in Damascus. They really want that. The only thing that's going to bring that about is war, but the public are 70-80% against war. So they've got this big problem now, the elites all across the Western world, really.
Now listen to what he's going to say here, because this makes a lot of sense, and he is going to tell you essentially the same thing that I've been warning as possible scenario.
Right. What kind of action can we expect the Syrian rebels to take in the meantime?
I think there's a real danger of a false flag operation against Israel now. I think there's a real danger.
He's talking about a false flag against Israel.
That it's clearly that the latest chemical weapons attack hasn't done the trick really as far as the warmongers are concerned. Nobody's really bought it. Obama's not going to get his war at the moment as things stand. So I think there's a real danger, Yulia, that there will be some kind of false flag attack. There will be some attack on Israel that will be blamed on Hezbollah or Assad. And that would try to get Congress then. If that happened, that would be a game changer because, you'd have Obama coming out saying our strongest ally Israel's been attacked. We've got to do something now. And that could change Congress's opinion, which at the moment looks like they're going to oppose war. So I think we've got to be on the alert, really, for false flag operations in the next few weeks, or days even.
Now, the next few weeks or days even. That's what he just said. Now, knowing what that he said, I want to show you an article that just popped up after I made my first video today. Watch this. The Times of Israel. This is September the 13th because Israel's ahead of us. And it said, look at this. Assad forces said to use poison gas in new Damascus attack. I mean, you don't even have to wait for days. It says, the rebel sources said Thursday, strike occurred at Jobar neighborhood. UN report to indicate Assad behind August 21st chemical attacks. Syrian rebels claim, this is what this gentleman was just talking about in the video that I just played. The Syrian rebels claim the army of Bashar al-Assad again used poisonous gas in an attack on the rebel forces in Damascus area Thursday, an Israel radio report said. The report was based on rebel sources, like they can be trusted, right? Now, if Barack Obama is supporting the rebels and the United States wants this regime change like we just saw, then don't put it past the rebels to do a false attack or a false flag to engage with, in other words, to allow or help the United States engage in war against Syria. So let's go on. Who said the attack took place in the Jobar neighborhood of the capital. The rebel sources said that they could not tell what kind of chemical weaponry had been used, but that it was poison gas of some kind and was causing injuries, including the breathing difficulties. Now, footage posted to the YouTube and the broadcast on Al Bara TV showed a young man having trouble breathing and receiving medical treatment. There were no immediate reports of fatalities. So, who knows if these are false videos? We already saw last week how people can make videos that seem real, but they are all nothing but staged. So only God knows what's going to happen. But if they do use reports like this to base that we don't need to wait anymore, then I can say that what the gentleman just said in that video that I just showed you is more than likely to take place. So let's find out if he is right. if what he says is the truth, because it certainly looks like it is a good possibility. And if that is the case, then this Psalm 83 war might be a lot closer than I even think that it is. God help us all.